Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Martine, and if you are new here, I do videos on Vedic astrology mainly, but also with some tropical astrology insights, and I focus on both relationship and natal astrology. And if you like this video and you would like to see more content from me, please like, subscribe, hit the notifications bell to see when I will post a new video. Also, please comment in the comment section with anything that you would like to give as feedback for this video. And also, if you're interested in a personal consultation, I do consultations on a wide variety of topics. You can check out the video description. I will leave my contact information there. Thank you. And also, I have started a tarot channel more recently than this channel. And I'm also going to be linking that in the video description. In case you like tarot, you might want to go ahead and check it out. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, maybe consider subscribing if you are interested in tarot. Thank you. So, today's video is going to be about transits for 2023. And as I said, I am starting with Aries because that was the first sign that I extracted among my ruffles. So I'm going to start as usual with an introduction, and this introduction is going to be the same for all of the videos in this series for 2023. So if you listen for it once, then it will be the same for all of the videos in this series. So mainly I'm going to start by saying that as I also mentioned last year, you can use these videos with predictions for 2023 for your moon sign as well as for your ascendant sign. You probably remember that I mentioned that you can take your moon sign as ascendant and look at the rest of your planets from your moon sign, and that is called a Chandra Lagna chart, meaning literally taking the moon as an ascendant and looking at the rest of the placements from the moon. And especially if the moon in your horoscope, in your natal chart, is in a lower degree than the ascendant or the Lagna, it might be particularly relevant for you to look at the moon chart as opposed to the Lagna chart. Both of them are important though. It's just that in certain situations, the Chandra Lagna or the Moon Lagna can be more important when it comes to predictions. Okay, that's something that I wanted to say. Also, I have divided the year into 3 main parts as usual with respect to transits. Now, in the first roughly 2 weeks of 2023, the placements will be basically very much the same as they were in the end of 2022, or as they are going to be at the end of 2022. So if you want to see your predictions, you can just go back to my 2022 series and rewatch the chart 3 phase for the ascendant that you have, or the moon sign that you have, in my videos for 2022. I'm gonna link the playlist for 2022 transits in this video description. So go ahead and watch that for the roughly 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of 2023. So from January 1st until roughly January 14th, 2023, when Saturn is going to be in Capricorn. So the main divisions that I have looked at for 2023 are from roughly January 14th until April 19th, 2023, when Rahu is going to be in Aries, Jupiter is going to be in Pisces, Saturn is in Aquarius. The second chart is going to be when Rahu, from around April 19th until December 2nd, 2023, when Rahu is going to be in Aries, Jupiter is going to be in Aries, Saturn is going to be in Aquarius. And then the final section is going to be from December 2nd until the end of 2023, or roughly December 31st, 2023, when Rahu will be in Pisces, Jupiter in Aries, Saturn in Aquarius. So these are the 3 main sections that I will be looking at for all ascendants. And if you look at the chart, I have marked the planets. RA means Rahu, JU means Jupiter, SA means Saturn, KE means Ketu. And I will be marking the aspects for each of these with a different color. Yellow for Jupiter, red for Rahu, or pink for Rahu, gray for Saturn, and that's about it. I haven't marked the Ketu aspects because Ketu is always opposite Rahu. Okay, so Ketu, just like Rahu and Jupiter, also aspects the 5th and the 9th houses from itself in addition to the house that it opposes. So this is just for you to know, but I haven't marked them, these aspects, Ketu's aspects, on the chart just to keep it, you know, simple. And yeah, this is pretty much what I wanted to say as an introduction. And now I'm going to get into the individual descriptions for the sign at hand. So Aries, in the chart, one phase, which is going to be roughly from January 14th until April 19th, Rahu is going to be in Aries, Jupiter in Pisces, Saturn in Aquarius. Rahu is going to be still in your ascendant, but you also have the 3rd aspect from Saturn. Saturn also rules the 10th and 11th houses. Rahu co-rules the 11th house. So there will be a lot of gains for you when it comes to activities that involve putting yourself forward, showing up, as in having an audience, being center stage, any kind of activity, any kind of professional situation where you are supposed to be like the spokesperson or where you have to assert yourself. You're going to be favored in these situations. There might be situations where you will be promoted even to the rank of manager, especially if you work in a hierarchical structure, if you are employed, because you have this connection between the 11th and the 10th house. There's definitely going to be an increase in recognition, an increase in gains from your career. A lot of your effort is also going to go towards mainly your career, mainly your social contacts. You're going to seek to create contacts that further your professional status and your professional development. You will also put a lot of conscious effort into your physical body, your physical appearance. So this is definitely a good time for you to start a new workout regimen or a new diet, basically anything where you are working on your physical body. And of course, this can also include things like meditation. When it comes to your mental state, your mental and emotional state, it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty high, actually. With Jupiter in Pisces in the 12th house, there will be, you know, a very positive feeling, a very joyful feeling that you carry around almost all the time. Well, almost all the time in the sense that you will have that inner faith in yourself, an inner sense of optimism and joy that will carry you through any potential hardships. You're also going to be favored if you try to travel, especially to faraway places. You might take up your meditation practices. You might have a particularly strong interest in spiritual topics, even things like astrology, but especially something to do with meditation, self-analysis, maybe even dream analysis, anything that has to do with going within, also relying on your intuition and using your imagination. You might actually be favored through activities that involve isolation. So I mean, even maybe working remotely in some situations. Also, since Jupiter is aspecting the 4th house, and the 8th house, this is a great time to take on a bank loan. This is a great time to invest in real estate or in a vehicle. This is also a time when relationship with your mother and your in-laws is going to be particularly good. This is also a great time for you to consider investments, especially investments that involve both you and your partner's finances. And partner can mean business partner for those of you who have a business partner, but it mainly refers to your spouse. With respect to, let me see. Oh yeah, this is a great time for you really to focus on investments of any kind. Potentially there will be hardships and delays when it comes to education, especially education up to graduate school or master's degree. So if you're someone who has to, I don't know, like finish your college degree, you might experience some kind of frustration, some kind of delays. It might be more difficult than usual for you to focus, and this is probably where the tendency, the interest in meditation is going to come in handy. If you focus on meditation, if you focus on calming yourself, centering yourself, but you really have to dedicate yourself to be focused, because otherwise your focus is going to be all over the place when it comes to your studies. So this could mainly refer to formal education, but this could be any kind of study that you undertake. You will definitely be favored when it comes to getting a job. This is also a great time for you to spend time with pets, to focus on your health. And as I mentioned, yes, there are multiple implications that this is a good time for you to focus on your health, on your diet, on your exercise. But also this is a good time for you to get a pet if you have considered getting a pet. And if you do have pets, they're going to be particularly helpful in giving you a boost mentally and emotionally. You might be required to take some kind of long-term travel due to your job if you are employed, meaning if you are an employee. Either that, or for some of you, this could just mean you're going to be working in isolation, as in probably remote for most people. For those of you who are looking for a job, you're going to be particularly favored if you're trying to look for, remote work from faraway places, faraway lands. Also, if you are employed, relationship with co-workers are going to be really good during this time. Because of Ketu in the 7th house. Weird. Okay, so you might have a situation where your in-laws are interfering with your marriage negatively. If you are married, or even if you have a long-term, stable, romantic partner, you might find that their family of origin somehow irks you, or there might be discussions with your partner because of the family of origin, or because of debt that you have together as a couple. This is also a great time for you to do any kind of research. You're definitely going to feel very focused on enjoying yourself. So romance, you might develop some kind of interest in a partner of foreign origin or a potential partner of foreign origin. And you might also be more unruly than usual with respect to your teachers, your mentors, even your managers at work to some extent, and your father or father figures. So there might be some kind of friction going on. Either that, or there might be some deception happening in the relationship with these categories of people that I've just mentioned. So either you will try to deceive them or they will try to deceive you. So maybe try to be a little bit more careful. With Saturn in Aquarius, the theme is being continued from 2022 that you might have a more restricted friendship circle, but the friends that are going to last after this Saturn in Aquarius is gone are definitely going to be long-term friends. They're going to be, you know, very strong relationships. So Saturn is basically wanting you to make sure that you don't have any good time friends around you, people that are only with you as long as you are on a high and, you know, can basically leech off of you. With Saturn in the 11th, though, the gains from the career, although will be there, they will come in, how should I put it? Slow and steady measures, okay? So most likely it's not going to be like huge gains overnight. It's going to be in direct proportion to how much effort you are putting in towards your professional life and your skills, working on your skills. You might also just be meeting you might be meeting a lot of new people, people that are going to be introduced to you, or they will introduce themselves to you. With Ketu in the 7th, you might also just feel a lack of interest in relationships during this time. Also aspecting the 11th and the 3rd houses. There might be, worst case scenario, I don't want to say this again, I'm going to avoid saying this, but I probably said it in the past year because I'm kind of a blabbermouth, but Ketu there could show some kind of a loss, okay? So due to various reasons. Of course, this is a generalized reading, so it does depend to a great extent on what else is going on in the horoscope. But Ketu in the 7th house could show a loss of a relationship, a loss of a long-term partner. Also aspecting the 11th and the 3rd, there could be like distant, colder relationships with the siblings, both elder and younger siblings. And there could also be loss of friendships, definitely, because not only do you have Saturn, but you also have Ketu's aspect on the 11th house. You could even have some situations where you are ghosted, or you're gonna have a tendency to ghost someone, like especially from these categories of people, like either friends or maybe even your long-term partner, depending again on the situation. You know, depending on individual situations, it could actually get that bad where you are ghosting each other. But mainly Ketu just shows disinterest. You're just not going to be as interested in maintaining relationships. So be careful, especially if you have long-term relationships, because you might just be going through, you know, a period of time when you're just very busy, very focused on your career, and your partner might start to feel neglected. Your friends might start to feel neglected. So not necessarily because something is written above, but just because your attitude is going to shift. People might sense that you are no longer as implicated in maintaining relationships, and they might take that as some kind of a quiet quitting, you know, kind of like a rejection of them and the relationship. So be careful, because this is a time when relationships could end with or without your accord. Okay, so this is the chart 1 phase. Now moving on to the chart 2 phase. So you still have the aspect of Saturn and Rahu on the 1st house, but on top of that, you have Jupiter moving in. So this is a great time for you. Okay, Jupiter in the 1st house and conjunct Rahu. This can show great material gains, especially since for you, Rahu co-rules the 11th house. So this could be a gain, really, when it comes to even your physical appearance somehow. Like maybe you're going to go through some kind of a massive glow up or makeover. somehow, like maybe you have been working on your fitness for a long time and now you're finally going to be reaping the rewards of people noticing you a lot more. Jupiter going in there and aspecting Rahu is going to make everything better. So all of the negative effects of Rahu are mostly going to be mitigated. If you have other configurations in your horoscope that could indicate a foreign spouse, this is going to be a particularly strong time for you to meet someone or even get married with a foreign spouse or a person of foreign origin, or a person that is just very unusual, seems like a very unusual, unorthodox choice of a partner for you. But this is only for those of you who already have placements in the horoscope that suggest that this is going to be the case for you. Otherwise, unlikely. You also could be seeing massive gains from foreign sources, foreign connections, foreign lands, foreign travels or long-term travels. You could also just be having a visit from someone from a faraway land, like a sibling or a friend. You could also undertake some kind of a long-term or long-distance journey on behalf of your job or your profession. Or on behalf of your studies. So you could even, like, this is a good time to apply for or even actually go on, you know, some kind of a study grant, study scholarship. If you have been thinking about applying for one, this is definitely a great time to do so. You're going to be favored. You will definitely also get a huge boost of creativity. So during this time, you might be getting a lot of ideas that are just great and very creative. Even for those of you who are maybe not particularly creative or you wouldn't think of yourself as particularly creative, you might actually, especially during your sleep, so make sure that you are getting enough sleep because you might be getting creative ideas through your dreams, through your intuition as well. Your intuition is going to be very developed. You also might undertake some kind of a study, like some kind of, how should I put it, courses or like, yeah, courses or maybe certifications that are being paid off by your employer. Sorry, that's not a UFO. That's like, I don't even know what it is. I think it's like the police or something. In the background, I mean. Also, this is a time when the relationship with the romantic partner is going to improve. You will see renewed confidence, renewed faith in yourself, a lot of energy. There might be a tendency, though, for you to be overly optimistic and overly self-indulgent. So be careful about that, especially if you might be drawn to, you know, substances like alcohol, even illegal substances, you know what I'm talking about. So be very careful with that because there's like a higher than average tendency for you to get hooked on these things. Not a good idea. Can be destructive towards your health. Joint finances together with your spouse might get some kind of a hit So it's a good idea not to be, how should I put it? Not to be wasteful, you know, do not make any huge risks. Like, don't, if you have a joint bank account with your spouse or your partner, don't take out a lot of money to invest in some kind of a weird get rich quick scheme, because it's probably not going to work out. This is not a time for you to be risky with investments. This is a time for you to just take it, you know, slow and steady. So it's not like you shouldn't invest, but you should not be taking any massive risks. And when it comes to investing, you should do the maximum possible research about everything. Don't leave anything to chance. This is definitely not a great time to gamble when it comes to your finances. This is definitely a great time. Like, I'm definitely feeling that a lot of you are probably going to be traveling during this time. There's a lot of emphasis on travel, especially long-term or long-distance travel. And higher education, so college and above. The relationship with the father figure or mentors or even managers, superiors at work is going to improve during this time versus the first chart phase. But there might still be tensions. You might take on a kind of a patronizing attitude even towards your superiors, so be careful with that, because it will not be appreciated and it might get you into trouble. Because Aries has this attitude of I know best, especially with Rahu together, so there will definitely be, like, for you, I think, kind of a, I don't know how to say it in a way that is not offensive at all, but you might get a big head during this time because, you know, Jupiter and Rahu are in your ascendant, so be careful with any kind of power struggles or becoming too impatient. Also, be very careful about mechanical things, like any mechanical dealings that you have or any surgeries that you might have. Take maximum precautions. And that's another thing for some of you. This could be even a time where you might have some kind of a surgery going on for some of you, especially if you maybe have been postponing some kind of medical things to fix. This is a time for you to have, like, especially, you know, something to do with your head. So, like, going to the dentist, anything around the head area. But also, I wanted to say, be careful with driving. Don't be too reckless, impatient. With Rahu there will be an increase of impatience and maybe even anger. But again, that depends on what else is happening in the chart. If you have Mars aspecting or Jupiter also aspecting Mars somehow, this is especially true. Be careful not to be reckless and impatient. I'm also just seeing gains from foreign sources. So, see how that resonates. Like, maybe some of you might invest in foreign stock, or again, it could be connected to your work. But of course, this doesn't mean that, you know, it's like if you have these configurations, you can just lay back and not make any effort. I'm talking always, these are influences, so it still implies that you do your side of the deal in order to get the best results. You might be getting, for those of you who have children, you might be getting some kind of a great satisfaction from your children during this time. So they might surprise you in a pleasant way with their, most likely, their results. The relationship with children is going to be particularly, I mean, mostly good. It's going to be mostly good. There's going to be spontaneity, there's going to be joy and fun, but also I feel like your children are going to surprise you with something positive during this time. Since Jupiter also aspects the 7th house, this is definitely showing that the relationship with a partner is going to improve. In fact, for some of you, this could even be a good time to get married. Like I also mentioned, especially if you also have some kind of configurations that show you might have a foreign spouse. But actually, now that I look at the Jupiter's aspect on the 7th and on the 9th, even if you don't have, foreign spouse indicators, this is a decent time for anyone with this ascendant or moon sign to get married. And also, you could be having some kind of a friendship with a foreigner. Like I said, like I feel like this is a theme that is continued from the chart 1 phase. Or like a foreign friend is going to visit you, or you're going to visit them. Something connected to that. That's a possibility for some of you. Alright, so this is pretty much what I can see about the chart 2 phase. And now about the chart 3 phase. So we have Rahu in Pisces, Jupiter in Aries, Saturn in Aquarius. Which is, so this is only going to be roughly the last month of 2023. Also, something that I should have mentioned in the introduction is that you have to calculate the exact date for when a planet switches from one sign to another based on your geographical location, because it might vary, give or take a few days. Alright, so you again still have Jupiter in the ascendant, except now Rahu is going to go into the 12th house. Very interesting. So, first of all, with Rahu in the 12th house, this is probably the strongest period for you where you will want to travel. Okay, so definitely a strong desire, strong wanderlust. You will want to travel abroad. You might have, above average possibilities to travel abroad, and this particularly shows long distance, long-term travels. It also shows you might take on a very unorthodox approach towards religion. So if you are normally a religious person, you might start having some doubts, or you might be doing a lot of research on your own from different perspectives. You might be going through a phase of skepticism. Also, there is going to be a strong desire. You're going to have a strong focus on faith in general. Like, you're going to feel a very strong desire to define your faith and your religion. There also might be losses here during this time. So be careful with this, because the 11th house lord is going in the 12th house, which is the house of losses. So be careful, like if you have some money saved, or if you have gained something because of your investments, when Rahu is sitting in your 12th, this is not a great time for you to be investing recklessly. Okay, so do not make any huge risks. Don't gamble like half your savings on some kind of a weird idea that someone presents to you, because it could go south very quickly for you. Okay, so this is, I would say, probably a time when you should be very conservative about how you use your gains, your financial gains, especially the ones coming from your career. This could also just mean that your elder siblings are going to undertake some kind of a long distance travel or even pilgrimage. Even you might undertake a pilgrimage, especially if you are a person who has been considering that for a long time. The relationship with your mother is going to become a little bit more tense than usual. You might definitely get a strong wanderlust. So I'm definitely feeling here, you know, an itch to travel away from your homeland, especially for those of you who are still living in the homeland, very close to your mother and the place of birth. There's going to be the strong dissatisfaction towards the status quo and your, you know, place of origin. There could also be sudden disruptions in the relationship with the in-laws and also in the joint finances with your partner, with your romantic partner or your business partner, for those of you who have one. Be very careful with your health during this time because Ketu is in the 6th house. So also you have Saturn in the 1st. So because Saturn is aspecting the 1st, sorry, not in the 1st, but it's aspecting the 1st, and it's connected to the 10th house, this could show health problems due to working yourself too hard, not taking enough rest. Could also show potential problems with bones. Again, even teeth. Bones, the head, and the calves, the legs. The calves, the thighs, sorry. So, this is a great time for you to take on, like, especially if this is something you have been working towards, this is a great time for you to take on a managerial role in your company. You're going to be particularly favored. People are listening to you, people respect you. You come across as very steady and trustworthy at the same time, very professional. So people, I think, will trust you with a lot more responsibilities than usual. But that, of course, can also mean that they will throw more responsibilities than usual upon you. Of course, all of this largely depends, can vary a lot from one individual chart to another. But it is a possibility with these configurations. So during this time, relationship with the spouse, the romantic partner, or even the business partner is definitely going to be better. You might even take some kind of a trip with your partner, a long-term trip, or you might study together. Again, this is also a good time to tie the knot, especially for those people who have already been in a long-term relationship. This is also a good time to meet people romantically. Even the period before, but this one I would say even more so. Like, the people that you will meet during this time are probably the most likely from these 3 periods to lead to something solid. Because you have both Saturn and Jupiter aspecting the 5th house. And you also have Jupiter on the 7th house, which is the house of long-term partnerships. Whereas in the previous phase, you also had Rahu, so Rahu can give you a little bit of a confusion or can blind you, you know, can make you more materialistic again, unless you also have Rahu as a strong spouse archetype energy in your natal chart already. Another potential possibility, and actually this is true for all the phases, I just haven't thought about it up until this point, you might actually go into business with an elder sibling or with a friend. And I would say actually that this is probably the strongest time for you to do so because of Saturn's aspect on the 11th house. Saturn in the 11th house, sorry, without being aspected by Ketu. So Ketu going into the earth houses, you might have a feeling of instability during this time. Because Ketu, again, can show lack of interest, although for you it's probably not going to be the case because you already have a lot of 10th house influence. So most likely this is actually going to show some level of frustration for you because you're going to be feeling like, almost like sometimes you're in quicksand. You know, like it's like the harder you work, the more you sink. And I know that sounds a little bit dramatic. And of course, bear in mind that these are general trends, so a lot of this is going to depend based on what else you have going on in the horoscope. But Ketu in the earth houses can just erode your sense of stability, especially when it comes to finances. So definitely be very careful, and actually during this third phase, it's most likely that you might have some kind of worries connected to your money. So considering what the third chart phase looks like, I would tell you that you should be careful with your money throughout your entire year. So, you know, budget, be frugal, don't be wasteful, because especially during this third phase of the year, you might tend to just see money slipping through your fingers. You might have sudden unexpected expenses or even sudden losses. Since Ketu aspects the second, this could even show potential theft. So be very careful about that. And also do not go for, get rich quick schemes. Remember, it's slow and steady wins the race. Money in the bank is money in the bank, that kind of thing. It's much more better to be slow and conservative and just save one penny or whatever per day rather than, I don't know, throw yourself headfirst into some kind of a strange business venture. Again, I don't want to sound bad here. Like, I don't want to sound like the bringer of bad news. But again, Ketu in the 6th house can show loss. Ketu in general can show a loss of whatever it touches. And the 6th house, for some people, that could mean work. That could mean pets. That could mean health. And also, Ketu generally shows microorganisms. So be very careful, okay? Because this could show a higher than average tendency towards infections, towards viruses in the body. So take precautions for that. Also, when it comes to work, the best way to avoid this is to take on a spiritual approach to any job that you have. So don't think of your job as just a means to an end, but try to see what you are doing, how you are helping the world through your work. Even if it's something that you think this is not helping the world, there's always some way that you can see the way that you are helping the world, how you are being, in service of the greater good. And taking on a spiritual perspective on your work is definitely going to help you. It's going to help you stay motivated and avoid unpleasant consequences involving your job. Also, when it comes to your pets, be careful. Again, with Ketu here, this could even show theft of pets, but it can even show sickness of a pet, or even worst case scenario, death of a pet. Of course, this could, again, just show loss of coworkers, which can just mean that you're going to have to work from home. Also, in a more positive note, this could just show that you're going to be focusing a lot more on taking care of your mental health. So you're going to feel drawn to incorporate meditation, I would say, in your daily routine. And in fact, I would say it's recommended with this placement that you do so. And generally, just do anything that helps you disconnect from, the everyday physical reality, and, you know, take on daily practices that are still disciplined but allow you to delve into your subconscious, into, you know, this whole spiritual / mystical side of life, in order to avoid escapism. That's why I say still organized and controlled. Because with Ketu here, like, you might find yourself drifting, especially when it comes to your daily tasks. It might become more difficult for you to stay organized, to focus, to maybe even with your job, it might be difficult to stay, you know, focused on your tasks. So meditation is definitely going to help with all of this and taking on a spiritual perspective on your work. On a more positive note, this could definitely show, especially for some of you, that if you already have an inclination towards this, you might be getting a job in banking, or you might have more opportunities to get a job in banking, or something to do with electricity, or something to do with spiritual practices. Of course, this could show, you know, even tarot, meditation, Reiki, working with energies, astrology, all kinds of things. So everything that you would see as kind of new age, you might have more opportunities to actually turn this into a side hustle or a job or a career during this time, especially if you have been working towards this. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something, right? It could also show electricity. So for those of you who are working towards, I don't know, electrical engineering, you know, working with cables, working with fiber optics, stuff like that, you might have more opportunities for employment during this time. And even more specifically, some of you might have an opportunity to work together with your in-laws or with your spouse's family of origin, or work together with your spouse's family or your long-term romantic partner's family. Doesn't necessarily have to be exactly a spouse, or it could just mean that somehow the spouse's family is going to help you in your career. Maybe they might give you a recommendation or a promotion. Who knows? So let's see, what else do I have here? I think that's pretty much it. You also might feel drawn during this time. Again, this is just kind of a small thing that I see. You might be drawn to going to exotic restaurants more than usual, and might be drawn to using some kind of an unusual decorum in your house more than usual. Like, you might be suddenly drawn to, I don't know, using something, basically culturally appropriating some decorum from other cultures and taking it into your house, like especially tribal things, like, I don't know, anything. It could be from any culture. You might also feel drawn to take on decorative styles and objects that involve smoke. So incense, tobacco, all kinds of things, I don't know, cigars. And you might feel a stronger than average urge to bring these things into your house, maybe to use them as decorative items. But again, this is like a small detail. I am telling you this because, of course, it could just be a whim, and as soon as the transits are going to change, you might be looking at those things and say, why did I bring this stuff into my house? And also, you might feel drawn to getting an exotic-looking car, like, or vehicle. Okay, vehicle can be even a bicycle or, you know, anything. So yeah, this is pretty much what I have for you, Aries. So I hope you have found this enjoyable and useful, because I've definitely enjoyed talking about it. And please let me know in the comment section what you think about it. And of course, as the year progresses, I would definitely like to hear feedback about, you know, what fits, what doesn't fit. And also, if you have liked it, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell to see when I will post a new video. And if you're interested in a personal consultation, I do consultations on a wide variety of topics, and I also do tarot readings. And if you're interested in finding out more details about that, you can email me at the email that I will leave in the video description. Thank you.